Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
All right. I'd like to call to order the January 16th meeting of the East Lampeter Township Board of Supervisors. All of our supervisors are in attendance. I do see some folks that are on Zoom attending our meeting. We appreciate everyone else here. We invite you to please sign in the back, just letting us know who's coming to our meetings. And we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, first, I will announce we did have an executive session for personnel matter before our meeting this evening. And first on our agenda, public comment for non-agenda items only. Is there anyone here that would wish to make public comment? We do ask you to come to the podium. We know that it's the best way to hear you on the audio for our virtual audience. Seeing none, there is another time for public comment. And next up, we have our consent agenda. As been our practice last year, we put a number of items on our consent agenda, including the agenda for tonight's meeting, minutes of the last meeting, and invoices to pay. Those have been advertised. And so I will take a motion to accept the consent agenda. So moved. Second. Motion by Mr. Hayward, second by Mr. Rutt. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have old business. I was talking to our township manager the other day and I said, old business is just the continuation of old new business, right? And she said, yes. So next is, first is the determine a hearing date for the optional density incentive zoning text amendment submitted by Keystone Custom Homes. We'll take some background on that, Tara.
Right, so Keystone, along with RGS, submitted a proposed number of texts to the optional density incentive for Devon Creek based on the market. And we went through a number of those, but what we need to do now is we need to set a hearing date if the board chooses to do so, because the board in 2025 authorized the distribution of that optional density incentive amendment to our planning partners as well as the county for review and comment. That time frame has passed now, so it is up to the board to determine whether or not they wish to set a hearing date. If the board does wish to set a hearing date, I suggest that you choose either March 2nd or 16th prior to your regularly scheduled meetings those evenings. So we could start around 5 or 5:30 or 6 as the board meets at 7 on those evenings. Now you have another one to schedule if you choose to do so next. And so whichever date you choose for one, you may want to choose the opposite for the other.
So this has met the 45-day review.
It has.
As we presented that in November. So accept a motion as the board pleases.
I'll make a motion to the Keystone Custom Homes, the optional density incentive, that we start that in March the 2nd at 5 p.m. prior to the regular scheduled supervisor meeting.
Second.
Second, so motion by Mr. Rudd, second by Mr. Gallagher. Any discussion? That is again, March 2nd for a 5 p.m. start for that hearing.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman, on process. This is specific to this property be in accordance with everything they're suggesting. And so we look at that for each property rather than a general overall zoning requirement. Is that the intent?
The intent, so you're looking at the optional density incentive portion of the zoning code and the changes to that 11.
Typically, as we look at this plan and see this, it's been reviewed by Steve and engineers and whatnot, and it seemed to be in order. And we're just a matter of opening up for everyone's ability to look into it.
That's correct.
Good. Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion, there is someone present in the audience that represents Keystone, so I would suggest you ask if they have any conflicts on March 2nd.
Good evening, Chris Benarchik, again with RGS. And actually, I do have a conflict that night. I was just thinking about that. I know I'm unavailable that evening. I don't know the schedule for Keystone and the rest of the team, legal counsel and so forth. But I believe March 16th would work. Just can't speak for the rest of the team.
So if Mr. Rutt wishes to amend his motion,
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll amend it to go with March 16th, same time, 5 p.m. prior to that supervisor meeting that night. March 16th.
We have an adjustment to that motion and by Mr. Rutt, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. Any other discussion on that? Is there anyone from E.G. Stoltz who's here for the next one? Because they might have a conflict. If you ever do. Okay. All right, to the question, all those in favor of the motion for, you said March 16th? March 16th for the hearing date for the optional density incentive zoning text amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up, we have the hearing date for the 474 Mount Sydney property rezoning request submitted by E.G. Stoltzfus. Anyone here? No, and some background on that there.
oh, sure. So E.G. Stoltzfus submitted the application for rezoning of approximately 6.5 acres located at 474 Mount Sydney Road. This is directly adjacent to the Conestoga Valley School District. It's now Smoketown Elementary, so property, and which was the former middle school. So this is 2 tracts, and they submitted in November of 2025. Again, the board authorized the distribution of the rezoning to all of the planning partners as well as the county for review and comment. That time has now come to an end, and the board can determine whether or not they wish to hear the rezoning.
Okay, knowing that our review period is over, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hayward.
Second.
And that's for
March the 2nd.
March the 2nd.
And that date would be March 2nd at 5 p.m. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda, new business. And that would involve the Chick-fil-A land development plan for 2057 Lincoln Highway East. There.
These are the individual.
Hello there. I'm here to speak on behalf of Chick-fil-A, Richard Scott.
All right, Mr. Scott, if you'd like to give us, walk us through the background, we do see the architectural plans on the screen.
Yep. So just a quick scope review of the project that we're doing here. So there is already existing Chick-fil-A at this location. It does have a drive-through. The proposed scope of work that we're proposing to install here are 2 canopies. These canopies are both on the right side and the left side of the building, as you can see in the center of the screen there. So these are open air canopies that are intended to cover the employees and the customers from the elements. There will be heaters and fans, but ultimately nothing else will be proposed on the site other than the required sidewalk modifications that are on the south side of the site at the bottom of the screen. Those sidewalk modifications are being required as part of the improvements along the road. So that is, there are some waivers that we are requesting that were recommended to be approved by the Planning Commission. I'm happy to answer any questions on any of those items.
Can you please go through the sidewalk request along Lincoln Highway that is reduced down to 4 feet?
Sure. Yep. So there is a required sidewalk that is proposed along there. There already is a sidewalk along this road, but it's being the new plan is to shift it back further. There's a landscape buffer of 5 feet that's required between the back of the curb and the sidewalk. And then the sidewalk is also being widened to 6 feet. As part of that requirement from the township, there are already existing utility poles that are running along the full length of this road, up and down all of the highway. So the issue is that there is an existing utility pole at this one very small location. If you could zoom in on the bottom right-hand corner towards those dimensions where that number 16 call out is.
Hang on, we're working on it.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
It's
I think we see the area you're describing. We're just trying to maybe zoom in a little bit.
yeah, just so you can see it. But ultimately, that is you can see that there's a very small location along that sidewalk where we're trying to avoid that existing utility pole. So it's jogging around that utility pole.
So approximately how long is the 4-foot sidewalk?
Probably about 3 feet.
You said 3 feet?
Yeah, roughly about 3 feet, just to avoid that utility pole, as short as possible.
So Mr. Scott, you're going to need to take a look at the ADA requirements. If it's longer than 2 feet, I believe you're going to need pull-off area for handicap accessibility.
Okay. I mean, it can be 2 feet. We're talking about a utility pole, so it can jog directly around that utility pole. But there will be a 4-foot wide section at the location where it is jogging around the pole. So it will have the full ADA width of 36 inches that's required.
That's if the board approves that tonight.
Correct.
And the
But I would say
reason
it doesn't.
of the utility pole, is that not correct, Mr. Scott?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
It's not just the utility pole, is that not correct? The water service is also.
Yeah, there is below grade water service that is there as well. We don't need to jog around that water service. Just around the utility pole.
So the water service doesn't have any impact on the sidewalk?
So you may be referencing the waiver in which we're describing the water service. So we had looked at other options in order to allow there to be a continuous 5-foot sidewalk. So the other option we had to allow the 5-foot sidewalk would be to have it go north. It cannot go south because it needs that 5-foot landscape buffer from the roadway. So the other option would be to have that 5-foot sidewalk run north of the utility pole onto the further into the Chick-fil-A property. However, due to the grades that are along that side of the property, there's a 2 to 3 foot grade change. There would be about a 2-foot retaining wall that would be needed in order to make the ADA grades work. And that retaining wall would fall on top of the water service. And so that water service would have to be relocated and disconnected, which would then disrupt the store staying open. So that's why we're requesting the waiver to simplify the solution here, to put in the sidewalk, but have this small section of sidewalk jog around the utility pole.
And then does that jog around affect the green space?
No, it does not. It'll still maintain the 5-foot required green space.
So if I understand correctly, for 3 feet, it'll narrow from 5 to 4 feet.
Yes, that is correct.
6.
You have a new width is 6.
Yeah. And yet, if I understand from what I'm reading from our DMA, they recommend we deny this. Is that right?
So staff did recommend that it be denied at the planning commission hearing. We had sat with the planning commission, and the planning commission had agreed with our position that it made more sense due to the fiscal responsibilities that would come with having to do the second option that I mentioned, either relocating the utility pole, which would be very expensive, as well as the option I just mentioned with the retaining wall and relocation of the service. Both of those, they agreed that it made sense to have the small jog and the sidewalk.
Understand. But our own David Miller Associates says no, planning commission says yes, so it falls on us.
Correct. They are not allowed to make a deviation.
I'm doing it, guys. So I'm coming up to speed and appreciating having read all this. So the real intent is it costs you a lot more to maintain that distance as originally required. Was this requirement put in place when the Chick-fil-A was built?
It was not, no. Staff may be able to describe better, but no.
Yeah, thank you.
What's the width of the sidewalk now?
The width of the sidewalk.
Representative or questions? Not, I'll entertain a motion if we are ready.
The preliminary plan is required that be granted. And the sidewalk must be constructed as per the streetscape plan for Lincoln Highway East.
The motion by Mr. Rutt, and if you could clarify that, Roger, according to the streetscape plan. Does that mean you're
Maintain the 5-foot sidewalk and the 6-foot green space? Is that?
I think that's reversed in the plan. It's a 5-foot green space and a 6-foot sidewalk. In the streetscape.
would mean that the proposal to allow a 4-foot sidewalk, you are not including that in your,
Right.
in your motion. Okay, just to clarify.
I have a question for Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott, how long do you anticipate the water would be shut down? Could this be coordinated closely so that the new service was built prior to disrupting the original service? So it'd be minimal downtime, perhaps even on a Sunday when it's closed?
We would have to reach out to the utility company to determine how fast this could be connected in with the contractor, but I would assume it would be more than one night where it would be down. But I'm not an expert on that.
Got it.
Even on the table.
So Roger, which of the many drawings that we're looking at are you saying is the appropriate one that shows?
Hayward, there are none in front of you that shows what.
Oh, okay.
What's in front of you is what the applicant has provided that they.
So we're changing, if I look at the landscape page, street 11 of 12 is probably more articulate of what's going to be changed. Is that right?
Is that question for me?
Anyone that could answer it. I'm just
Yeah, I mean,
thinking-
if we were to do the other option, yes, the landscaping north of that utility pole would all have to be removed in order to install the sidewalk. So there would certainly be less vegetation between the Chick-fil-A and Route 30.
So 11 and 12 probably gets the easiest way to see what the potential area of change would be. Gotcha.
I'm still only able to see page 5, but I know which pages you're speaking of. So
The landscape planning sheet number 11 of 12 supposedly. Okay.
We have time here to look, make sure everyone's in the drawings, and if there's any other questions, obviously we have our expert here.
I almost think before I would vote, I'd hate to shut down a store and have employees lose time. So I would almost like to know, what is that duration of a shutdown? If we're talking 1 or 2 days, are we talking a month? I don't know what that looks like, Tara, if this could be tabled for the next meeting, or they need to get this project moving.
So
I mean, I'd certainly go ahead.
I believe Chick-fil-A got a time extension at your last meeting or your December 15th meeting. I'm just not positive which one. So it would not be for the township to let you know how much time that would take because it would be City of Lancaster water.
That's public. That's right.
You have a motion on the table, and I have not heard a second yet. I'm hearing none, the motion would, how do we characterize that?
Fail.
Would
You don't
fail.
want to say.
Lack of a second, that motion fails. Any other motions?
Make a motion that the applicant provides additional information and maybe further impacts to either relocating the utility pole and then trying to determine what type of a shutdown or the duration of a shutdown would occur from having to follow the streetscape plan.
The motion on the table from Mr. Gallagher asking for additional information from Chick-fil-A regarding the impact of adhering to the streetscape dimensions for sidewalk and anything related to that.
Clarify.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that it's conditionally approved if they provide that to township staff and or comes back to the board?
Let's come back, because I'm not comfortable with vote. If they're saying it's a day shutdown, I could live with that, but if they're telling me it's gonna be shut down for weeks, I don't want to put employees out of work for weeks over a couple feet of sidewalk.
Would your motion then be to table this?
I would take.
So we find that information. So the motion would be to table the Chick-fil-A land development plan at 2024-07. And we have expressed the reason for that.
Staff, I guess, can communicate directly and
Can we have that motion by Mr. Gallagher? Second. Second by Mr. Lapp. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Opposed. And the ayes have. And we will table that. We have information at our next meeting. The next item is the Clark Associates Land Development Plan at 2257 Old Philadelphia Pike. Yeah.
I believe Chris is here for that.
Go ahead.
And Chris and Archie. We're talking about the Clark plan. I believe most are familiar with the project that we just wrapped up. And started along the street. The property at 2257. The subject track's about 12.5 acres. You may recall it's in a light industrial zoning district where we had received approval on the land development plan for them to modify or renovate one of the existing buildings there, the prior Mennonite school, as well as the construction of new office buildings. As construction goes, and when you're doing projects, you can't think of everything. So they realized after the fact that construction is well underway, that they could use some storage to support their operations over there. So they asked us to look into essentially retrofitting a storage here. Green there, toward the top right there, that's the box, and is about a 5,000 square foot structure. It's essentially a storage garage. It's about 50 by 100 in dimensions. And you may recall from the prior, for those who are familiar with the plan, the solar panels there, so that solar field are extended through where that structure is now going. So what we've done is we've removed from the prior plan where solar access that garage, we can take out a few parking spaces. Again, you may recall from last time, we were a surplus of parking for the on the site. So we still provide the minimum required parking for the garage there. There are no new water connections to the garage, so no water review or the demand. The area is very isolated, all the things the original, and we have permit boundary. We've already coordinated with the conservation commission to permit or plans that we other side that we can. The other thing to provide that documentation to the town for that correspondence with the conservation district. And as far as the application goes, it is a land development plan, but we were requesting a waiver of the preliminary plan application. And we do have the December 30th review letter from the EMA. Comments there, one on the waiver. Meeting the conditions of approval. And then the last one is about emergency services. So we did reach out to emergency services. We did receive some correspondence back, but we will provide that for the final application. That's a brief overview. I can try to answer any questions you may have on the project.
Do we know what the storage buildings can be used for?
Equipment storage, that's my understanding. Like they're not intending to have it be occupied by staff.
So it's a garage, sort of with garage doors and.
Essentially a garage door, and I believe we're talking about an entry door as well.
And so where the parking spaces are removed, that's how the vehicles or whatever is stored in there would get entered.
Entered to the building, correct.
Do you know how much less solar electricity is going to be generated?
That question came up by the planning commission, and I roughly guesstimated like 10 or 15% of this.
Yeah. Probably it should be about not a footprint. Yeah. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve land development plan number 2025-31 for Clark Associates. For the additional land development for the 5,000 square foot warehouse storage building on property.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gallagher, seconded by Mr. Hayward.
That's based on the 1230.
Motion subject to the, well, what's the date? 28,
30.
12:30 DMA letter. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? I abstain. Motion carries. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, appreciate it. Okay. Next up is the waiver of land development and stormwater plan for High Steel at 1915 Old Philadelphia Pike. Chris.
Thank you. Yes, again, this is high steel structures, building expansion. I do have Jake Floyd from High Steel joining me as well tonight. We have questions on operations. We were here before the planning commission talking about the project. This is on about 27.3 acres at 1915 Old Philadelphia Pike, the north side of Philadelphia Pike, I-2 General Industrial Union. Getting smaller, this is just a situation where I feel obviously has been in the town for a long time, trying to adapt to manufacturing, with the steel components they make. So they are having a new piece of equipment coming from the existing facility that is of a size where to provide safe access in and around the piece of equipment, so they go for it in there. You need to have a little space on the building. So what we have shown there, we've been to the site, and the building is it's 6 foot by 40 foot adjacent to the existing building. It's about 10 feet in height, so it's not as tall as the existing structure. And what is proposed in that 60 by 40 foot area is actually over existing impervious today, around the impervious. The reason why we're here before you tonight is just by looking at the ordinance requirements, it would qualify as a stormwater management plan. So we're just using this plan to document the change in condition. What we're proposing to do, because you have to 20% of the area you're introducing, and assume that is impervious cover to make up, I guess it was happening. The stormwater management wasn't part of what projects did. So we do show the removal of that, what's today impervious area and converting that to pervious area to cover that to meet the stormwater management requirements of the ordinance. With this application, we also, because of the scope and scale of the project, we did submit a waiver of land development, in section 368 that was supported by the planning commission. And we also have additional waivers. I don't know that, for that preliminary plan, we apply. We get the waiver of land development, but it was essentially saying that we're looking to not submit a preliminary plan or final plan application. Support by 16 about. And then with the stormwater management plan, given the plan scale, we're trying to zoom into a rather small area. So we asked for a modification on the plan scale. Boundary descriptions, since we're not modifying or altering the existing property, we're not subdividing it. We're asking for a modification. Although this is a stormwater management report, we're not proposing any proposed buildings. It doesn't matter of removing existing impervious areas, so we're asking for a waiver. And getting the DMA letter dated January 8th, those requests are supported. Going through the rest of the letter, we don't have any concern about addressing that for the final commitment. Applications associated with it.
Before we do any additional comment from our staff, any questions? Chris? Paris, any additional comments?
So this site is a major stormwater runoff issue for the township and township staff. We've had closed numerous. Township went in with sewer authority and increased the stormwater pipe along the north side of the Amtrak train line behind the properties along there. That has decreased the number of times we've had to close people road, even when there was a slight rain event. However, we're getting some significant gravel and debris into that system, which is likely coming from the site. Our public works staff is down there after every rainfall cleaning that up. So really need to work with the township staff on how we can address this site and reduce the amount of staff time that's being utilized to clean out that pipe. I mean, that pipe went, I believe, from 36-inch to 48-inch to account for all of the stormwater coming off of the site. So we can't be cleaning it out every time there's a rain event.
Is that what basically floods under the bridge?
Yes.
And it's because of the storm grade being clogged up,
So
or is it just capacity?
capacity is a major issue and was a major issue. We've addressed that in a way.
Just helped.
Just helped, but it's not the only issue in the area. So really need a working relationship with the site owner to assist in reducing the amount of debris coming into the storm.
Sure. Has our team identified a potential solution for this area?
No, we have not gone through engineering to.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, my name's Jake Lloyd. I'm fairly new here. I've been there about 10 months. I'm the engineering and facilities maintenance manager there. So I'm more than willing to, if somebody wants to meet on the site and, with myself, and I'd be more than willing to walk it, and we could try together to identify the cause of where the gravel's coming from. And, and make a plan to see what we can do to eliminate it. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
So look, this is a small project, in and of itself, but the property has, as you said, a history. It's been there a long time, it's developed over time, and our relationship. The working relationship with landowner to address it further.
or because you're new, it'd be great to get there in a rainstorm, to kind of see how that goes. I mean, I know that's not exact, but
Yeah, I've actually identified some areas since I've been there, because I experienced it this past summer. There was some areas that our drainage was anything but proper. So we brought some back trucks in and we cleaned out all the sumps, and we started cleaning out, hydrojetting our laterals, and we were actually putting a camera through there. So I think we've actually started what you're asking for already, you just don't know it yet. So there's a lot more to come. So once we put the cameras through and we identify our problem areas, we're gonna look at it, replacing whatever we need to do. So that should also help with the runoff, heading west rather than heading north towards the problem area. So we have some good stuff that we're working on already.
Good to hear.
Thank you for offering that and for being willing to engage. I guess as a newbie, does that mean we delay approving this, or we proceed with the understanding that we'll work together?
Proceed.
I would proceed with that understanding.
Okay, great, thank you.
if that is the pleasure of any of the board members that want to create a motion, I would add that in. So I will entertain a motion.
I move that 2025-32 waiver of land development storm water plan for High Steel at 1915 Old Philadelphia Pike be approved with the understanding that High Steel will work with our township to address the ongoing issues regarding stormwater management there, with the intent of working together to resolve that. But with great appreciation for the history, I so move its approval.
Contingent on the DMA letter dated January 8th.
Yeah. Thank you.
We can add that to the motion, is to include the DMA letter.
Yes,
I'll second that.
on January 2026.
Mr. Gallagher on the second to that motion. Any discussion? On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Your time.
Okay, next up, we have our supervisor discussion items. First up, tow policy.
Emergencies. Thursday evening last week and went through a discussion with Chief Zerby about the tow policy. Now, this was to Chief Zerby, this was new information because he was unaware that there were some officers that didn't know the second or those towing agencies that could have greater capacity for, let's say, tractor trailers along Route 30. He also indicated to the Emergency Services Committee that, the police are the first, or excuse me, are the individuals that call for the tow vehicles, because the crime scene or the scene and the evidence needs to remain intact until the police have witnessed it and seen it. There was a great discussion about cleanup and cost, and there were a number of towing companies there that provided their current costs for cleanup compared to what our tow policy has currently, which is a great disparity. Cleanup costs concerning MS4 issues with fluids into the storm systems are of significant magnitude compared to towing a vehicle, which our tow policy only covers the towing of a vehicle. So there was an agreement that Chief Zerby and the new chairman, Mr. Patterson, would meet and have a discussion about changes that might be able to be made to the tow policy.
Yeah, it was a good discussion. And I was able to be there. Also, I think Chief Zerby was going to reevaluate the tow rates
Yes.
that we have, and the fact that there are towing operators with different skill levels, different unique capacities, and to make sure his officers, as you said, know what those options are. But I think one of the central questions was who's in charge of the scene to make a call, and because of the crime scene piece. And, there are, I think it's understood there's collaboration. I think they want language that really reinforces the collaborative part of that, but I'm happy that they're going to be meeting.
Chairman, just for understanding the oversight falls between the state police and our own police
For accidents.
for an accident scene,
I would assume it's either
Yes.
one
because it's on Route 30.
in our township.
Yeah, if it's in our township,
Respond.
yeah, we're responding. Do the state police get involved at all? Really? Okay.
Okay, any other comments there on that discussion item?
I was at that meeting also, and I think it was very helpful, the things that we talked about and moving forward. So I'm looking forward to good resolution being worked on. Under what time frame, I'm not sure, but at least everybody in the meeting recognized that between the supervisors and the ECS committee that we will be working on it.
Okay, very good. All right, we'll move on to,
Chairman,
sorry. Chief,
Add to that, please.
please.
I'm Steve Grimmel, Chief Fire Company. This is something that I brought up a couple months ago and it's been worked on. First off, I want to explain, we do not want to have any problems as far as any accident investigation. We understand, because before we even clean up a call, I ask the officer if it's okay if we start our cleanup so we don't cause any problems. So we have a good working relationship that way. The big thing that we tried to do is, like our company runs a heavy rescue. And we get into quite a few tractor trailer accidents. Some are serious, some not so serious, thank goodness. But we've had 2 in the last month that extensive towing had to be done and extensive cleanup. I understand that there's always a question about charges and how much they charge. I'm staying out of that. All we want to be able to do is work with the police to get the best tow people in, see the best, the people that have equipment to handle that call. Some companies have more heavier equipment, some people have. Say, well, that's where sweepers on, that we want to make this incident as short as possible and get it taken care of. So, when it comes to calling some of the tows in, I've been asked to look at some of this, and we've talked with the police and had a good working relationship that way to get the people that can handle those calls. I can tell you the last two tractor trailer accidents we had, in fact, I brought paperwork along. We were out on the call over an hour and a half. And at one call, we used two heavy tow operators because of the severity of the call. The other one was the tow company did not have the necessary equipment to do the cleanup. They called another tow company in to handle that and work with that. MS4 reports were sent into Tara on those. And our concern too is that the proper disposal was handled. You just can't go and throw this material in a dumpster. You can't do certain things. I mean, we want to do it the right way and not because too many cell phone cameras are out there watching what you do. So, just on our behalf of the Bronx Fire Company, which I will speak for, we want a very smooth working relationship with our police. We see things that sometimes are damaged on some of this equipment. And I've handled a lot of different heavy rescues before. And I try to bring those up to the officer that they know that, look, we just can't drive this one away. We're going to have to lift it up and move it certain ways. So we want to do it effectively and safely for everyone involved. So I hope that it works out well. I know Bob said he could work with that. I said to Tara, I know here that if there was a time that it was necessary to sit down and talk about it. I'm not for any one tow operator. I just want good, heavy tow operators that we've been dealing with. And there's basically 3 right now. So thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the board, Chief, I'd just like to say thank you. I mean, that's why we're working on this, because you brought the issue up to us. Chief Zerby is aware of some things he wasn't aware of before. And you guys are the experts really on 30. And you see it all happening, so I appreciate it.
Well, I don't want to say we're experts, but we've dealt with it too.
You're the closest to it, I would say.
I appreciate the relationship we have with the police, and I hope it continues to make this process work well.
I believe it will. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on that? So, speak, we can move on to false alarm fees.
Got two. At the Emergency Services Committee meeting, there was a discrepancy in what the new chairman understood as compared to what the rest of the committee understood. I understood it to be just for commercial properties, and he was willing to extend that to residential properties as well and write language in there for residential properties. That's something that needs to still be dealt with as a whole. The township solicitor also reviewed that policy and made comment, of which there was discussion that it was not, it didn't seem to be correct in perspective because it wasn't being applied to the police false alarm policies as well. The intent is to, after discussion with the chief, is to align those two policies and have one set of fees for both the fire and the police. So still working on it.
Questions? Okay, next discussion item, the line painting policy, which we were provided.
Yes, you were provided a copy of this line painting policy. This was something that the 2025 Board of Supervisors discussed, as well as had numerous individuals of the public here for a particular development, which we all call the Norm Graham development off of Mill Cross Road. And they were not happy after their roadways were repaved, that they had double yellow lines. The policy was once your road is repaved, the lines. Those same individuals indicated that they would be at future meetings and they would be on the agenda. I'm not seeing them.
And the adjustments to the policy, using the criteria.
The adjustments to the policy were based on the criteria that was available through PennDOT. And I believe it was former Supervisor Demi that asked that 4 of the evaluation criteria had to be met in order. 4 of the 7, excuse me, 4 of the 7 had to be met in order for there to be double yellow line.
And the approval process also that the public works director would recommend, how they're meeting the standards, and then it comes to the board for approval. So in other words, it wouldn't be an automatic.
So this Board of Supervisors needs to determine whether or not you wish to keep the policy that's in place, whether you wish to amend the policy with what was previously discussed and is provided to you tonight.
Would we call this a discussion item? Would we call this an amended line paving policy?
You can know this in the policy, sure.
This doesn't have to be posted or advertised.
It's a policy.
It's
It's not a resolution and it's not an ordinance.
So a motion could be made to accept it.
I make a motion that we approve the new East Lampeter Township road line painting policy. This meeting, January 2026. I don't see any numbers on this. I'm not sure how would I refer to this.
Policy.
Line painting policy,
And you said the date, so I think that.
January 2nd.
The motion by Mr. Rutt, second by Mr. Gallagher. Any questions about that policy?
Again, this is how we as a township implement, but yeah, it's in order to, yeah. Thank you.
One question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Aye. Any opposed? And the ayes have it. We have a new line painting policy. Okay. Item is foundation, next discussion item.
Yes, so the Recreation Director, Lisa Cleveland, did reach out to the PRPS. That was the organization that she had initial discussions with in 2025 that could serve as an overarching foundation and then have smaller foundations underneath it. They are not yet, or they still are not ready for that to occur. And so she will continue to search for an organization that is ready. Then I called it recreation for the CB region because I think it was to restart the discussion for the entire region. So again, Lisa Cleveland, the recreation director, emailed both of the managers at West Earl and Upper Lake Hawk Township. She has not heard back yet from them. So her next step is to give them a call or to visit their offices to see where they stand in that.
We should make sure they have our newsletter so they can see all what's going on. Okay,
The information dissemination, I believe Supervisor Gallagher asked for the list of how we do that and other free or very low cost options. And so currently we have the quarterly newsletter, the website, and our Facebook page as options for disseminating information. We could very easily add an Instagram account because it's connected with Facebook. And so whatever we post on Facebook could be posted on Instagram. I am not in that realm. And so it's my understanding that Facebook is for people my age and Instagram is for the group below me. And so we may reach more individuals within the township.
I think, did you mention that hyperreach could be used differently as well?
Yes.
If it's not for non-emergency alerts or,
We could. So HyperReach is the notification system that the township uses, and that system is currently used for emergency notifications, or you can sign up for notifications. If you sign up, you typically get the weather, the closed roads, those kinds of things. We also use HyperReach internally for our police department now for overtime, and it is used for our public works department for road cleaning for snow events like we had this weekend. So there are other opportunities with HyperReach. I think we need to be cautious about those that signed up for specific types of outreach and.
I would, something in the newsletter, sign up if you want to get whatever zoning hearing notices, whatever it is, you get them all. You're not gonna miss them. You can't say you missed it. Some people might want to get those, some people might not, so.
And that would be a notification that comes on HyperReach.
Yes.
The idea how many people have registered for HyperReach?
I don't know that number off the top of my head, but I can get that for you.
The only caution I have about that is that, I sign up for it for emergency kind of notice.
You can opt in for one or the other, correct?
Okay. They wouldn't confuse the two, and then it gets to be so many notices that you're not paying attention to.
Right.
But I mean, if you sign up intentionally for it, to me, you're going to be looking at.
Kara, do we have any data on how many people actually visit the website and the different parts of the website?
Check with our IT staff about that.
Because I know in a couple of places where websites are used, there is that data. And we could, without expanding more effort, just say, hey, go to this area and you'll get it. And we can see if people are doing it, because a lot of people say, oh yeah, I don't get the information. And we put it on a website and we can tell who actually visits and uses it and how long they stay there. So thank you for this information dissemination. There's a lot on there. And truly, compared to other municipalities, we have done a great job, I think, of getting information available. It'd be good to know just how many people do it, because in a couple of places I know I've put up in my own community, hey, here's this information, and they go, I didn't know that. And yet the other things we don't advertise that everybody seems to know about, so I'm encouraged that the quality of our website as a new member of the board, it's wonderful. And the archives, the data that's there for us to review is just tremendous. So adding some of that information as to how many people actually use what we've already invested in before we do too much to invest in other stuff, I think would be helpful as well. Thanks.
There's also a new website that is starting. It's in a beta version right now, and it's called Roundabout Conestoga. And eventually it'll be out for everyone, but the idea is that this is the place you go for activities and events and happenings in Conestoga Valley. So as soon as that's available for everyone, we can link to that on our website and get the board involved as well. Right now, there's 2 of us that have access to it because they're trying to test it out before they release it to the general public.
The goal is to really present something of civil discourse, kind of reducing the political kind of turmoil we sometimes see, a lot of collaboration, the positives of our township. So I think that's a noble cause.
Okay, if you have other opportunities, let us know. We'll willingly investigate that.
Thank you.
Cost savings.
Right, so cost savings and opportunities to reduce the deficit was one that was asked to be put on as pretty much a continual throughout the year. But as we have the December 2025 general fund balance budget performance report. The interesting and great piece was when the Board of Supervisors in 2024 authorized a 5% increase in taxes, which amounted to about $180,000. They said you have to find that in savings as well throughout the year. And the township staff is extremely fiscally conservative and found $371,000 in savings. And so we almost doubled what you requested of us. So, however, it came with some cost to individuals, and there were some individuals that had doubled responsibilities for periods of time. So we didn't fill positions right away. And so, taking on additional responsibilities meant some things slid 4 or 5 months while those responsibilities were increased.
So appreciate it. I mean, obviously taking advantage of any savings when we can is what I think is what the intent is. Okay, and any other items for discussion? Any of the board members would like to add? And we'll add them to our list so that at least we touch on them each time we meet as a board.
Mr. Chairman, I've gotten the sewer fund report, and I'm just wondering when would be appropriate time to ask a question about the year-to-year performance.
Sure.
I just know with great encouragement that the budgeted under the expenditures, the actual sewage treatment was significantly lower. And I'm sure there's a story behind that.
So if you look at the bills you paid today, you paid over $1 million for
That would explain the timing of the bills. Oh, thank you. So it doesn't look as good as we hoped it would. Thank you. Okay. Hey, no, I appreciate that. That explains that. Well, we approved the consent agenda. But I did read the report, Sarah.
And to answer that question, anytime you give us the report, we can talk about it.
Absolutely.
Certainly, and at budget time, we do talk.
Yeah, no. Thank you for that attention to detail. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, moving on to action items. We have the Lancaster County Planning Commission Memorandum of Understanding. Tara?
So the township and Lancaster County Planning Department already have a memorandum of understanding to expedite reviews for projects of certain degrees. And this is just an updated, quite honestly, memorandum of understanding as more municipalities have and development in Lancaster County. All 60 now have their own. So this was to update the responsibilities of each, meaning the municipality and Lancaster County Planning Department. So this would be effective for any total building area of less than 1,500 square feet, anywhere where there's not more than 4 lots being created, and anywhere there's a clerical error or a simple lot add-on. So this expedites their review process. We get it back to you soon.
Make a motion to approve the new memo of understanding between Lancaster County Planning Department and Lancaster Township, that we sign this.
Motion by Mr. Rutt,
Second.
Mr. Hayward. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we have the Board of Supervisors representative for the Lancaster Intermunicipal Committee, the LIMC. We need one of our board members to serve as our supervisor representative. Anyone wish to volunteer for that position?
I would be happy to volunteer for that position.
Motion to accept Roger Rutt as our representative.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hayward, Second by Mr. Gallagher to appoint Supervisor Roger Rutt as the member, as the supervisor representative to the Lancaster Intermunicipal Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Rod.
Thank you, Roger.
Next we have the authorized distribution of our planning partners regarding a hearing date for the comprehensive zoning text amendment, which is being prepared by our Director of Zoning, Jacob Bowe.
That's correct. So at the December 15th meeting of the Board of Supervisors, Jacob went through a list of changes for the zoning ordinance. And those are provided to you again. He went through that with a idea of decreasing some yard sizes to decreasing lot area sizes and increasing the density in some areas of the township and the zoning districts. That's been put together by the township solicitor for distribution to our planning partners. So if the board is so inclined to authorize that distribution, that can happen tonight. If you wish to set a hearing date, that can happen tonight as well. If you wish to wait until that frame for review is over, that too can happen.
Again, I'm the newbie, so I'm the recommended changes that are in here and the number of times when we've changed it. Does that get codified in a new issuance of the zoning so that it, when you look at the zoning, it's got all the changes in it, and someone at that time looks at the current updated zoning regulations, they're all clearly.
Right. So typically the township staff provides all of the codification at the end of the year to the company that does our codification online. However, we post every ordinance underneath that codified ordinance so that anyone can go to it and keep up with the changes.
So you can, if you want to get a complete, this is a picture of what we need to do at this date to fill. Yeah, it's not like the tax law that you've got to go back and look at previous this and that and understand, you know, what they did in 1952 in order to make sure you're doing it right today. Okay, good. Thank you. That's encouraging.
So we would be looking for a motion to authorize staff to distribute this to our planning partners along with establishing a hearing date if we so desire.
Does the planning date it would require full approval from our planning partner?
We send it to them for review and comment.
Okay.
And then it will need a recommendation from LCPC, the Lancaster County Planning Commission, and it will need a recommendation from your own planning commission.
The order would be to set a date for us to have a hearing on this.
So first, you should authorize distribution.
Okay.
I mean, like tonight, we could see it again after the 45 days are up, but that would be next month.
That's correct.
We would see that in February.
Because you only have one meeting in February.
And yeah, and then we'd have to, well, it would, if we did pick like March 16th, it would be 2 hearings that were going on that day.
It would be. This one could be held during your regular meeting.
Okay. So there wouldn't be a problem with that.
Or you could choose to move it into April.
So we could just authorize as a motion to distribute it to the planning partners. And when that period of time is up, we could see it again in February to establish the date or do both.
You absolutely could.
So I'll move to authorize distribution to planning partners and determine a hearing date at some future date.
Okay, motion by Mr. Hayward. Second by Mr. Rutt. Any discussion?
So after our hearing, then it's advertised, then we're in the 45-day period, correct?
No, just slightly twisted. So we'll distribute it and they'll have 45 days to review and comment. And you can set a hearing anytime after you distribute it. That as long as you give them the 45 days. Okay.
So on the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the fire 2026 fire company list of approved activities for coverage, insurance coverage.
That's correct. And these are identical to the prior year with 2 exceptions. And that is the seasonal events at Tanger, which are attended frequently, and the community events at Greenfield are becoming more numerous.
Saying those are 2 new ones.
And these were discussed at the Emergency Services Committee on Thursday night. And those were the only 2 that were provided as additions.
Accept the fire company listing of approved activities.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Should have mentioned, those are within the service area. Because the next one is outside the service area and you can just. And that's for the annual Strasburg Fire Company mud sale to be held February 27th and 28th. And, excuse me, Hand in Hand would be helping with that.
It's a great example. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, hand in hand fire police to assist with the Strasburg Fire Company mud sale, February 27th and 28th of 2026.
Motion, we have a second. That, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Manager's report.
So the township was notified 2 weeks ago that we will be undergoing a Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection MS4, Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System Audit. And it will occur January 27th and 28th. The auditor from the city can come in, they can review all of our documentation. They can visit sites to look at the best management practices. They've asked for all of our documentation to be uploaded to an FTP site, which we are in the process of doing. So we've been through one of these DEP audits previously. We had to provide 1 additional document in the past to make that audit whole. And we did really well. It's my hope, again, that the township does really well. Because every time we do well with DEP, it means if EPA would come in, we would potentially do just as well with them. DEP hasn't, to the best of my knowledge, fined anyone yet, but EPA has, and of significant. In the 6 digits.
Well, I have to recognize your work on this, Tara. Right from the beginning, you've been the MS4 person here. And I know that other townships are using third parties, and some townships are, or have waited before they've done anything, but you've been on top of it, and that's why we're doing so well in that area. I'm sure we'll do very well in this audit. So thank you for all that. Okay. Now, second time for any public comment on non-agenda items from the distinguished gentleman in the audience or anyone online. I see someone online with us. Okay, hearing none. You take a motion. Oh, sorry, sir.
I'm Healer, 45 Mount Sydney Road. Your line painting. At a previous meeting, there was a question if you're going to blacken out what is marked. Did the policy cover that, or?
Policy does not cover that.
And does the township have a?
Part of
What's your thought? I mean, if you have been thinking of doing something to block that out,
Budgeted.
yes.
My last thing we were doing was assessing the costs and the options of what we could do. And although the budget was passed without that included in it. We do have a new board. We do have a new board. We have a new board in place, and we can certainly put that on our discussion items.
Thank you.
I think we had the first step, and that was to approach things.
Just for the new policy. Step before you step off and fall in. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, any other comments? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion? Second by Mr. Rutt. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.